Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Ben, and this is the Reading Pet Peeves tag. So this tag was created by Allan over at Big Hard Books and Classics, and I was tagged by Gina Stanier over at Gina Stanier Books. And these are about 8 prompts, all having to do with what are generally regarded, I think, for a lot of people as reading pet peeves. So as you can see behind me, if you follow my channel, I have not been able to move houses yet. It has gone on way too long and things keep getting delayed and pushed back, and it's been a nightmare. So I'm just trying to make a couple videos in a row today. And this one didn't need any kind of books for me to hold up because my books are, for the most part, completely packed away in boxes. So here we go. Just a fairly simple one for me to do. The first prompt is, do you use or read along with audiobooks? And the answer to that is yes, I do like audiobooks. I am a very auditory person. For a long time, I was listening to podcasts, especially when I was driving much more. The pandemic kind of killed that. When I was doing a lot of work from home, I just wasn't driving anymore. And now, if I do listen to something that isn't music, it's usually an audiobook at this point. And I do like audiobooks quite a bit. I've heard or seen many people in their videos talk about having difficulty with audiobooks, them not being able to hold their attention, they miss something. I do firmly believe that audiobook listening is a skill that can be built up, that can be strengthened. I have very little difficulty listening to audiobooks at this point, and I can be doing multiple things and pretty much still catch everything. Do I miss a few things here and there? That's totally possible. There's also times when I'm reading a page and I realize that I haven't been paying attention to the last, 3 or 4 paragraphs, and I've just been, my eyes just been mindlessly scanning. So it happens kind of in both situations, but I do like audiobooks. And I do think, is it reading? I don't really care what we want to call it. If we look at the history of book consumption, the way most people took in books up until recently was to hear it read aloud to them. And I think that it is perfectly fine. I actually find it very helpful, especially if I'm reading something that's new or challenging. Like an older work, something that's maybe 200 years old or so. Sometimes I do like the immersive reading, and it helps me kind of catch the rhythm of the language, and it makes it much more digestible to me as I go through. I don't generally listen to audiobooks that are incredibly, difficult, a lot of tough content. It's more light stuff, but I do like audiobooks. I do think that people should definitely give them a try, and if they tried it once and it was a little bit difficult for them because they felt like their attention was wandering, I do think it's worth going back and trying again and getting used to it, because it's very valuable. And I'm not a super fast reader at all, and there are so many books out there that if I was incredibly picky about how I took in those books and information, I wouldn't get to nearly as many as I would like to in my lifetime. So anyway, that's my answer for audiobooks. Number 2, do you utilize your local library? I do for the most part, although I haven't really much since the pandemic. First, the pandemic hit, of course, and that meant that people weren't really going in to the library very much. And then our library went through a major building renovation, that's taken a couple of years, and they're still not quite open. I think they're getting close. So it's been actually a couple, like 2 or 3 years now since I've really been able to use my library. They're still open for like curbside pickup, but I wasn't really using it for books. I have plenty of books that I own that I still need to read. I don't need to go to the library to find books. I was using it, however, for movies, renting Blu-rays and DVDs and letting my kids pick out stuff. That was actually really good and, free way to go inside, and we'd sometimes go and sit there and read books together as a family. Sometimes the kids would be able to take out a book and we'd return them. So I do look forward to using our new library once it's all open. 3, do you DNF books? Very rarely do I DNF books. I can't name all of them, but I could probably count on my fingers how many books I've really DNF'd. For me to DNF something, because I usually do want to give it a chance. I do think that, sometimes the ending can really bring things together. I can't just judge something on the first part of the book. At least I don't think I can. I don't feel right about that. Um, but if it's like, if it's the kind of thing that, if it's either politically or if it's some kind of uh, religious apologetics, whatever it might be that I'm reading, that if I feel like the author is just being deceptive or lying, then I don't have a problem DNFing. But it's actually fairly rare occurrences. I usually don't DNF because I'm usually kind of picky about the stuff I read in the first place. I usually know something about it before I actually start picking it up. Now I buy things very, I kind of on a whim sometimes from secondhand bookstores or book sales, but then I'll look into it eventually, before I actually sit down to read it. And when I'm going to sit down and read something and I'm going to take the time for it, I usually have some idea, with rare exceptions, about what I'm getting myself into in the first place. So DNFing doesn't occur all that often. 4, do you read multiple books at the same time? I do. Uh, Not literally at the same time, but I usually have a fiction book and a nonfiction book going at the same time. I don't like reading two fiction books because then it makes it a little bit more difficult to, keep the narratives going in my head. But I find that a nonfiction book and a fiction book going at the same time, I can completely separate those things. And sometimes, I'm reading something that's very portable, so I can bring that one with me, and I leave something at home that's maybe like a big hardback or something that it's just not as conducive to picking up and throwing in the car with me. So for multiple reasons, I usually have at least two books going at once, sometimes even three. Let me see. Sorry, I kind of got to look behind my camera phone here to see the questions. Do you make time or have a specific time in your day devoted to reading? Uh, it's not an exact time. I do try to get my reading done as much as possible in the morning, especially on the weekends. In the summer when I'm teaching, when I'm not teaching, I usually try it in the mornings. I just find that I'm more awake during that time, and I can read faster. I get through way more pages in the morning than I would in the afternoon if I sit down for the same amount of time. It's just I just get more tired in the afternoon, that's all. But I do, as much as possible, try to read in the morning whenever I can. Number 6, do you dog your books? No. I was appalled, shocked, scandalized by hearing Gina Stanger say that she does. I knew she had a dark side, but that was pretty dark for me. I hate the way dog-eared books look. I can't stand it. If I see a book even that I like, in a used book sale, it's dog-eared, I don't even touch it. I just don't like it. So no, I do not. I use bookmarks or something else at hand, or I just pretty much remember where I was. I've never picked up a book and had no idea where I was, where I left off. It's usually pretty easy to find the page that I need, even if I don't have a bookmark. Number 7, do you annotate your books? I do not. Once again, I don't like how it looks, and I have crappy handwriting, so I don't want my bad handwriting all over the margins of books. So instead, I usually open up my phone to a Google Doc, and I'll dictate my thoughts right onto the doc, and that's it. And then I can go back and organize and look at it whenever I want to. I just find that's easy because my phone is right there. I just speak it and it's on there, and then I keep reading, and that's about it. So that's, when it comes to taking notes, that's usually the method that's worked best for me. And the last one, how do you feel about spoilers? For the most part, I don't really care that much. I think probably because I don't read much in the way of new fiction. I think that if it was newer fiction, like there's some fantasy books that I haven't read yet that I'd rather not be spoiled. But most of the stuff that I read is older. So just through, cultural diffusion, osmosis, I'm not even sure if I'm using those words right. But I usually generally have some sense of what's going to happen in a novel anyway. So at that point, I'm just more looking at the story structure and how the author is handling it, and that's usually good enough for me, even if I know the ending. So if I can stay away from spoilers, I can, but if I hear them, I'm usually not devastated. And that is it. That is the Reading Pet Peeves tag. So once again, thank you to Allan for creating this, and thank you to Gina for tagging me. I'm not sure who has done this exactly. I'm always late to the game on these, but I did see that Erica over at Passage of Time recently tagged me in a video. So I'm going to tag her in this one. So Erica, if you watch this and you're interested in doing this video, doing this tag, please do so. All right. As always, thank you, BookTube.